Welcome to Formula Fezz. Today we are squeezing over 70 years of high-octane history, legendary rivalries, and wild engineering into just 7 minutes. Let's drop the green flag. The story begins in 1950. Post-war Europe wanted to replace battlefield adrenaline with something else, so the Fédération Internationale de Automobile formalized a premier racing category. The formula was simply the strict set of rules all cars had to follow. The early days were glorious, brutal, and terrifyingly lethal. Imagine racing a front-engine 300 horsepower aluminium cigar on skinny tires. Drivers didn't wear seatbelts, they wore polo shirts, leather helmets, and goggles. The logic? It was safer to be thrown clear of a crashing, burning car than to be trapped inside it. The undisputed king of this era was Juan Manuel Fangio, an Argentine maestro who won 5 world titles with 4 different manufacturers. But while Fangio relied on raw, old-school mastery, a massive mechanical shift was lurking just around the corner. By the late 1950s, a tiny British team called Cooper had a wild idea: take the engine from the front and stick it in the back, behind the driver. Suddenly, the center of gravity dropped, weight distribution balanced out, and racing geometry changed forever. Front-engine cars instantly became museum pieces. Then came the 1960s and 70s, where F1 found its wings, literally. Engineers realized that if an airplane wing creates lift to take off, flipping that wing upside down would create downforce, gluing the car to the tarmac. Speeds skyrocketed. Teams began exploiting ground effect, using shaped underbodies to turn the entire underside of the car into a massive vacuum cleaner, sucking it to the road. As the cars grew faster, the sport grew richer. This era gave us the iconic polar opposite rivalry between the calculated, analytical Niki Lauda and the rock star, carefree James Hunt. F1 evolved from a deadly weekend hobby for wealthy gentlemen into a highly commercialized, globally televised, multi-million-dollar spectacle. Welcome to the 1980s, the turbo era. Car manufacturers figured out how to force-feed massive amounts of air into tiny engines. The results were terrifying. In qualifying trims, these fire-breathing monsters unleashed over 1,400 horsepower. Drivers were essentially strapped to a rocket ship with manual gearboxes and zero electronic driver aids. This environment birthed the most psychologically intense rivalry the sport has ever seen: Ayrton Senna versus Alain Prost. Senna was a mystic, driving on raw instinct and spiritual belief. Prost was the professor, calculating exactly how slowly he could drive while still winning the race. Their fierce clashes at McLaren defined a generation. But the pursuit of pure, unbridled speed eventually hit a wall. The tragic weekend at Imola in 1994, which claimed the lives of Roland Ratzenberger and Ayrton Senna, shattered the sport. It forced a permanent, data-driven pivot. From that dark weekend onward, F1 placed safety on equal footing with speed. Crash structures, track designs, and cockpit barriers were revolutionized. As the millennium turned, Formula One entered its high-tech, dominant dynastic eras. The early 2000s belonged to Michael Schumacher and Ferrari. Snarling, screaming V10 engines that revved up to 19,000 RPM echoed across the globe as Schumacher rewrote every single record in the book. But the engineering landscape was shifting beneath the surface. In 2014, F1 made its most controversial yet technologically astounding leap, replacing the screaming, naturally aspirated engines with 1.6-litre V6 turbo hybrids. Purists missed the deafening noise, but the engineering was undeniable. These power units achieved over 50% thermal efficiency, making them the most efficient internal combustion engines on the planet. This technological mastery allowed Lewis Hamilton and Mercedes to embark on an unprecedented era of absolute domination, collecting championships and shattering Schumacher's records. That brings us to the present day. Formula One is currently experiencing its biggest global explosion since its inception. Driven by social media, the dramatic behind-the-scenes storytelling of Netflix's Drive to Survive, and the legendary controversial 2021 title showdown between Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton, a brand new, highly diverse demographic has fallen in love with the sport. Today, F1 is no longer just a European-centric racing series. It is a massive cultural powerhouse, blending cutting-edge engineering, geopolitical drama, and sporting theatre across 24 global circuits every year. So whether you're a lifelong petrolhead who remembers the scream of the V10s, a casual fan trying to figure out what DRS means, or a sim racer looking to perfect your perfect racing line, there has never been a better time to follow motorsport. We're going to be breaking down all of it right here on this channel, from technical innovations to the best grandstands to visit around the world. So hit that like button. If you want to see more, please consider subscribing, as it really helps out the channel. So lock in your racing line, and I'll see you in the paddock.